What about a counter-strike by the remaining Big 12? And we have gone after or discussed a lot of these teams, but we can do it on occasion again. Instead of UCF and Memphis, Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, Brigham Young. Nebraska's getting $50+ million a year, no matter who they are, which is nothing right now.
And that's going to be important.
They're not walking away from that.
It's going to be important when they have to buy out their head coach here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a jokester or anything, too. You know, like, I mean, with Scott Frost, who knows? You know, how this year goes is going to say a lot. You know, obviously last year was tough for everybody, but I'm sure they'll give him a little bit of a longer leash than they would, you know, a guy who didn't come in and win a national championship for you as a player. But, I mean, it doesn't show a lot of signs right now of being, like, on a great direction.
Can we make a policy right now? I'm going to make a policy. We should not answer the text if they include Nebraska, Arkansas, any team that's making $50 million or more a year.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm not to say not to, but, like, it's just.
Klaus may have just joined the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to this point.
Or even Colorado, Utah, even though the Pac-12 is among, they have bounced back and forth, fourth, fifth, third, mostly fourth and fifth weakest conference. Now they have at least some stability. I don't know. A conference commissioner that seems to be forward-thinking. But they're not leaving a conference right now that's got some stability to go to one that right now is floating in the ocean with a life raft.
Yeah, I made the comparison a week or so ago of any of these schools in the Power Four, why you would want to go, you know, you're on a sturdy cruise ship, no problems whatsoever, you're just cruising across the ocean, and then you see a ship burning as you pass by, and you decide, I'm going to go jump on that one. Like, that's basically what you would be doing. You'd leave the safety of the cruise ship to go jump on a sinking ship. I just don't think anybody in their right mind is going to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it all comes down to stability for me. Now, you know, years down the line, you know, maybe there's some things. Like, that's the thing, is if the Big 12 can stick together and potentially expand and right the ship enough to remain autonomous and do all that, then, you know, you only got to wait a couple more years till all these TV rights start coming up. And I know this likelihood of somebody jumping from the ACC and all that's unlikely, but, you know, you don't have any options right now, that's for sure, and definitely not the ones who have already left.
From Red Wine 65, Nebraska just spent $500 million, $150 million on athletic center, $350 million academic commitment. They can't leave. That's a good point. Top chat from Gator Zoned. Who has a bigger 2018 failed hire? Pruitt to Tennessee, Frost to Nebraska, Taggart to FSU, or Kelly to UCLA. Who's the coach now at Tennessee?
Josh Heupel.
Who's the coach at Florida State?
Mike Norvell.
Who's the coach at UCLA?
Well, still Chip Kelly.
And Frost is still at Nebraska, so at least they're still where they were.
Now, like, if this was like the sausage race at the baseball game, the Chip Kelly and Scott Frost would still would be out of this race of who was the worst, you know, or the best. I guess they'd still be in it. This is a Willie Taggart or Jeremy Pruitt decision.
Who did Pruitt replace at Tennessee?
Butch Jones.
Okay, why?
Butch Jones wasn't winning.
Frost replaced Mike Riley at Nebraska because they were stuck in the mud. Mm-hmm. Taggart replaced
Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, who was basically not wanted anymore, and now he's built another program into what is the top 10.
Do you want me to cry on the internet? Do you want me to?
Chip Kelly at UCLA replaced Mora. Was it Mora?
Yeah.
So I would think that of those, I would have to say, I hate to say it to you.
It's got to be Taggart. Yeah, I mean, that was a total disaster. I mean, for him to jump up and then, you know, he had the Oregon gig and looked like he was going to be settled in there, and for him to just – and I know that was pretty mutual, actually, but, I mean, Oregon knew quickly, like, uh-oh, this is not the right hire for us. But, you know, FSU, you know, they tried.
Oregon – here's what happened with Oregon. Oh, man, we got this guy who wasn't very good. Wait – FSU wants him, and they're going to pay his buyout, and he's going to leave all the assistants?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Hey, he collected a lot of money during that time period, but, man, like, nothing worked. Nothing worked.
Here's one final note from Eric, who came up with that good note about Tillman Fertitta. What are your thoughts on this argument that leaves us, TCU and Texas Tech, outside? If the state has only two Power 5 teams, A&M and Texas, which was one of the things that Mack Rhodes talked about, can only make so many players from this talent-rich state available. They can only take so much. That means great players would have no choice if they wanted to play at a Power 5 conference to go outside of the state if there are only two Power 5 schools. And that's something that I know Dr. Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, and others brought up when they had that, whatever that was down in Austin. And it's a pretty good point. It's a pretty good point. And you wonder about what the high school coaches think about that too.
Well, I remember reading an article a couple of weeks ago about, part of the maneuvering going on and administrations having some say in the rules, like the SEC doing what they did or like the Alliance doing what they did to have more control over the rules. I mean, what's going to happen if expanded rosters are a thing here pretty soon? Because they very well might be. And then I would be concerned about, those teams being able to hoard even more talent. So yeah, it's a grave concern. I mean, obviously, these other schools here in Texas are just sitting out there, and there's not a lot that they have in their ammunition box right now. They're kind of just having to sit by. But yeah, I mean, these things are playing out the way they're going right now for Texas and A&M to have a complete monopoly, more so than they've already had, and. Oklahoma and Ohio State and those schools are going to come get their fair share of Texas recruits as they do every single year as well. So, yeah, man, you're getting squeezed out in a lot of ways if you're these other Texas schools, and that's why it's just imperative that you've got to make something happen.